Hey everybody, and welcome to Craft of the Yeti. A few of you asked how I made the trees I was using in my last video. So here it is, this is how I made those trees. They started out as 3D prints from my Dungeons Forgotten Towns series. You can print them yourself if you have a 3D printer, or I also sell them on my Etsy shop if you're interested. I'll have links for both in the description below. Anyway, I have printed one here, added a magnet, and primed it black. The first step is to base coat everything, and I mean everything, in a dark brown. I'm using Burnt Umber by Apple Barrel, but really any dark brown will do the trick. You could also just prime in brown, but I don't have any brown spray paint primer. My paint darkens up quite a bit as it dries. I was happy with just one coat, but you could always add another if you'd like it a little lighter. Step number 2 is to lighten the trees up a bit. Around here, most trees have grayish colored bark. So I'm trying to replicate that by mixing a khaki color with a light gray color. Once I have something that I'm pretty happy with, I start to add paint to the tree. The trick here is to leave the deepest parts of the print the dark brown color. To accomplish this, I wipe off quite a bit of paint before hitting the tree from an angle. It also isn't a huge deal if you get some paint into a few of the deep crevices. I'm also doing my best not to hit the ground with the paint, but again, not a huge deal if you do get some there. This step really brings out the detail in the sculpt. Next, we're going to add some sand flocking to the base of the tree. This is from the same construction sand I used on the board in my last video. My hope here is to match the base on the board. I also think the sand looks better than the 3D printed dirt. The texture from the sand's great, but it is a little lighter than I'd like. To remedy that, and to darken the tree itself, I'm making an oil wash. I'm using mineral spirits to thin dark brown and black oil paint. Once I'm happy with the mixture, I once again cover the entire thing, this time with a wash. Oil washes are great, but they take some time to dry, so I set these aside overnight to let the wash completely dry before moving on. Our magnetic game board is covered in grass flocking, and I want to bring some of that onto the tree base. I add some tacky glue in the areas I want green, then I dump blended turf by Woodland Scenics onto the base, and then dump off the excess and throw it back into the container. Hence, this handy little piece of paper. Okay, now it's time to give our tree some foliage. I wanted the trees to have some bulk, but I didn't want to use a ton of flocking as it can be fairly expensive. I turned to polyfill. This is the white stuff you can find in pillows and in stuffed animals. I took it outside and sprayed it with a dark green color. I didn't get perfect coverage, but it was good enough for my purposes. I then ripped various sized pieces off and hot glued them to the tree base. I made sure to shape the polyfill a little before gluing it down. I also did my best to make sure that each tree looked different. And here's what the tree looks like with all the polyfill added. I'll now be gluing a bunch of flocking onto the polyfill using Krylon spray adhesive. This stuff gets everywhere if you're not careful. So, in between each flocking layer, I took the tree outside and sprayed it. For the first layer, I made sure to get both the top and bottom with the spray. All the flocking here is from Woodland Scenics. The first layer is dark green and is the most dense. The goal here is to completely cover all the polyfill. I had to adjust the position of the tree constantly and have to be very generous with my flocking portions during this step. Next comes medium green coarse turf flocking. I like the coarse turf better than fine turf for foliage. I feel like it adds a lot more depth and variation, and it also feels more like leaves. For the medium green, I tried to hit everywhere but the bottom of the leaves, making sure to let some of the dark green flocking show through. The last flocking step is with light green. This color is only added to the tops and is done very lightly. I only want a hint of the light color. My hope here is the gradient we're using will make the trees look believable. The very last thing is to cover everything in matte varnish. This locks everything in place and removes the stickiness left over from the spray adhesive, and I did this off camera outside as well. And that's pretty much it. You can also do the same thing with sticks you find in your yard or any other method you've seen online. Once you have your tree frame, the rest of these steps can easily be followed. Now, on to the good bits. Thanks a ton for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and subscribe for more.